All right, so today I wanted to talk about the employee retention credit. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because this is something that multiple clients have reached out to me for and said, oh, do I qualify for this? And what's happening is that you have some companies down here that are really aggressive about getting this credit for business owners. And the big carrot that they dangle in front of you is $26,000. You can get $26,000 in tax credits back per employee. $26,000. I think people see that number, eyes get big, and they say, as long as you're a business owner, you can get this. So I see a lot of companies out here really aggressively pushing it. Some folks out here pushing it like this is the new PPP scam finesse to get some money out of the government. You have some really aggressive companies out here and probably have no business doing it. So I wanted to educate you as far as what this credit is about and the fine print behind actually qualifying for it. Because like I said, everyone sees 26K and they're like, oh my goodness, this is great. I need some of that. So again, it's called the Employee Retention Tax Credit. And it was initiated by the government in response to COVID. So this was one of the last COVID relief measures that the government was giving out. So essentially what they wanted to do was to encourage business owners to keep people employed during the pandemic. I'm sure a lot of people lost jobs, businesses closed down, and people got laid off from jobs. Essentially what the government did was they said, look, we want to encourage employers to keep folks on the job. We will go ahead and refund you some of the salaries that you've paid to your employees during the time of COVID. So that's the premise behind this particular tax credit. If you were essentially open during the pandemic, you kept employees on, the government wants to, I guess as a thank you, give you some of the money back. Now, the biggest thing that eliminates a lot of business owners is not having eligible employees. As the business owner, you don't count. You don't count as a business owner or partner. I believe if you're more than a 50% owner, I believe that's the number, but it doesn't count. If you're a sole owner, if you have yourself on payroll or not, it doesn't matter, you're not eligible. So that kind of knocks a lot of people out. The second thing that knocks a lot of people out is actually having employees. So not contractors, but you need employees. Anyone that you're paying on a 1099 or you're not withholding the taxes, that doesn't count. So they need to be full-fledged actual employees. You're paying them with a W-2, you're running the payroll, you're doing the payroll taxes, you're doing that whole bit. Again, contractors don't count. So let's say that you pass those two tests. So you actually have employees on the books that you're actually paying. So with that, there's still a couple things that you still need to qualify for. Now, there's actually two versions of this, or two scenarios of it. One is if your business started before COVID. So let's use, I think the date that they use is February 12th, 2020. And then there's businesses that were started after February 12th, 2020. So there's kind of two sets of rules there. So we'll start out with those that were started before COVID, February 2020. If your business started before 2020, to qualify for this, your business has had to either been shut down by the government, or if you weren't shut down, you had to have what's deemed a significant drop in income from quarter to quarter. So during the years of 2020, the credit is 50% of wages and benefits paid to employees up to $10,000. So essentially you can get up to $5,000 per employee if you paid these wages between, I think it was March of 2020 through the end of the year. So that's for 2020. Now, in order for your business to qualify for that, your businesses have had to drop significant. So I believe they used a 50% drop. So what you do is you take your revenues from that quarter that you paid the wages out in 2020, compare it to the revenue that you did in that same quarter. So if we're looking at quarter two for 2020, you look at your revenues and your sales for that quarter and then compare it to quarter two for 2019. If there was a 50% or more drop, then your business qualifies. Now again, this is only if your business didn't close. If your business was closed or forced to be closed as a result of a shutdown, then you automatically qualify. But if you didn't, then you have to use this formula to figure out if your business qualifies. So for example, I had clients who in beauty salons, they were forced closed. So then we don't have to worry about doing the calculations. But then I have another client where they operated a restaurant, but it was a takeout restaurant. It wasn't a sit down. So I know sit down restaurants were closed, but they had a takeout restaurant, and actually they were okay, and they didn't qualify because they never closed, but because they were takeout, business actually grew as a result of once the pandemic hit. So their revenues actually went up, not down. So they do not qualify for it. So that's for 2020, but then the rules shifted for 2021. Now for 2021, they increased the credit and they said, look, we'll give you up to 70% back on the first $10,000 that you pay to every employee, or every quarter. And it was only effective for the first 3 quarters of the year. So let's say that you have an employee and you paid them $10,000 every quarter, roughly. You can get back up to $7,000 of that each quarter for the first 3 quarters. So you can get back $21,000. The $21,000 from 2021 wages plus the $5,000 credit from 2020 wages. That's how folks come up with the magical number of up to $26,000. So that's why you always see $26,000, $26,000, $26,000. So that credit is now 70% on the first $10,000 that you pay each employee. But again, for quarters 1, 2, and 3 of 2021, not in Q4. So that's essentially the criteria to qualify if you had your business open prior to COVID. I think we're using February 2020. Now, the rules are a little different, and they're actually a bit more lax if you opened your business after the pandemic or right before the pandemic. I think let's use February 2020. I think it's the 12th. There is a specific date, but let's just use February 12th, 2020 as an example. So if you opened your business after February of 2020, you can actually get a credit as long as you were paying employees through 2020, not necessarily even through 2020. It can actually even be, let's say you opened in 21. If you were paying employees in 2021 on a business that you just started, you can still get that same 70% credit on the first 10,000, but it's only for wages paid in quarter 3 and quarter 4 of 2021. And again, still needs to be wages that you paid to an actual employee, not paying yourself. So it's a bit easier. It's very easy to claim the credit. It's just a couple forms that you need to fill out. And I think that some of these companies out here are being quite aggressive about it. So you got to watch out for it. But understand, and they'll give you the money once you fill out the form. What's going on in the honor system. But understand, just like what they're doing with PPP now, I'm getting messages almost every day of people getting locked up for taking out fake PPP loans. They're just now getting locked up and sentenced. They did this back in 2020. Here we are almost 3 years later, and they're getting locked up. They make it very easy to get, but understand that just like how they're going after folks with the PPP stuff, they're going to come after folks with this too if it was fraudulent. You have to be very careful to make sure that your business does actually qualify for this stuff. Don't get tied up or enamored with thinking you're going to get a couple dollars, and if you don't qualify for it, it can come back and bite you later. So that's it. Just wanted to lay out the education on that so that you're better equipped for when you see these advertisements. All right, so that's all for now. Talk to you in the next one.